I just saw a video of a completely insane migration policy campaigner which sums up what's wrong with modern Britain in a nutshell. Now, as you'll see in a moment, this girl is quite sweet, but she's definitely very sheltered and probably privately educated too. I say this because she's symbolic of a certain type of liberal you get in the media today. She's not a bad person necessarily, but she's utterly divorced from reality. She's brainwashed in a liberal ideology that can't see her embrace of infinity migrants will undercut the safety and stability of the country she lives in, as well as undermine the very liberal humanist values she clearly holds to.
I think it's quite obvious that migration happens anyway. Migration happens in completely manageable numbers to the UK.
Not even 10 seconds in and she's already stepped on two major landmines. Yes, movements of people have happened throughout time, including to the UK, the Vikings, the Huguenots and so on. But these were in tiny numbers comparably, and these people were from similar backgrounds and have integrated over hundreds, if not thousands of years into English and British culture. That she thinks having 1 million people coming here a year, that's what we're running at about now, is the same as British history is just either a complete lie or she's completely brainwashed. Secondly, what does she mean the numbers we currently have are completely manageable? Are we living on the same planet? Well, the answer to that is probably no, we're not living on the same planet. She's lived an upper middle class life where everything she's ever wanted for has been provided. She needs to see a doctor, she can do so immediately. Everyone else has to wait at least a month. She doesn't have to worry about the cost of living, and she doesn't have to worry about the town she grew up in being taken over by people from the third world. And to be honest, even if it was, she's been so brainwashed, she'd probably think that's a good thing anyway. After all, people who have been brainwashed into globalist ideology think that any romantic attachment to your own homeland is evil, but if someone comes from the third world with such an attachment, that's noble and valuable.
And if we actually currently go out and recruit very actively and quite aggressively in countries all around the world for people to fill our vast labour shortages. We could match the people who are in desperate need of coming to the UK with some of those labour shortages. We could have a completely different approach to immigration that works with the fact that people move, and they largely move through authorized channels, but those who are moving through non-authorized channels are doing so because they don't have other prospects, they don't have other solutions. They may be in danger, or they may simply be in abject poverty and have a complete lack of opportunity.
Now, did you notice in all of that waffle that she didn't even consider the will of the people? That's totally irrelevant to these people. That's why she doesn't realise that when she states it's wrong for us to go out into the third world and aggressively recruit people for jobs that need filling, we don't want that to happen. The vast majority of the British people, if you ask them, would rather take the economic hit to have the control of the destiny of their own country. Now, we're told by the liberal elites all the time that that's evil and racist to want to make such a decision, but I'll tell you, I believe it's completely ethical for the Brits or any European nation to want to have control of their own destiny. What I believe is highly unethical is politicians enforcing mass immigration on the public, even though they've said time and again that they don't want it, and women like this going on the radio to essentially promote an open borders philosophy.
To offer that opportunity here, it would be beneficial for us because, as I say, we are in desperate need of that labour. We have an ageing population. We could manage this in a way that works with people and that creates systems that are designed to reflect the reality that people move, and they always will.
Again, just no consideration that enforcing millions of people to come here each year will have no impact on social cohesion, that there won't be differing groups with differing value systems jostling for power, an increasingly chaotic and confused society. But all of that is just a conspiracy theory, of course, by right-wing insane extremists. All you have to do is believe in tolerance, inclusion, equality, and love.
And that continue this cycle of capturing an individual who is providing a service that we need by doing work in our economy, who is doing that without authorization.
If you mean an illegal immigrant, yeah, he should be kicked out. But to be honest, if we had strong borders, he shouldn't be here in the first place.
And locking them up and sending them away and paying private companies a huge amount of money to do that. And then another person who is in the same system, in the same doom cycle, getting into that job, and then us doing it over and over again. I think there's a real case that this is the definition of insanity here, and that we need to change our approach to a system that works with immigrants.
I don't know, Tinkerbell. I think you're the one who's a bit insane here. An open borders policy is going to collapse the country even quicker than it's collapsing in real time already. I mean, that she can't see that, and that she doesn't even consider the will of the people, and she's a supposed expert in migration, tells you exactly what's gone wrong in modern Britain. After all, in reality, she's just a misguided young woman whose motherly instincts have been used against her and her own interests in future country. Essentially, women like this see immigrants and people from the third world as innocent little babies that need to be taken care of and protected. They'd never do anything wrong, don't you know? The only people who think that are evil, toxic, far-right bigots. But while I'm sure she'd complain about things like white privilege, the irony here is she is the one who is privileged, like most of the BBC and Guardian types. She's an upper middle class woman who can still afford to live in this utopian fantasy and doesn't have to deal with reality. So while liberals and women like this pursue policies that will make society less stable, the streets less safe, and of course put women in more danger, we can't really do anything about it. She's backed by the whole establishment, and there are millions of women like this. This is why I talk a lot about rebirth on this channel. I think it's time for those of us across Europe who do want to maintain our way of life and don't want mass immigration to start thinking about building more traditional communities where we don't have to deal with this. These women and lefties who love the multicultural world and think nothing can go wrong, we'll let them live in it. We have to start building a different future, in my point of view. Anyway, these are just some of my views. Do let me know what you think down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel.